and then to exit at a level to where you can feed yourself and your family if need be. All the while, we'll be doing a lot of different arts and culture activities. They'll be leading workshops, you name it, we're gonna do it, and this is our second go round. So I'm not sure if anyone has been familiar, we've had a 2-year program already. Thank you. So here are our folks. Thank you. This is Cynthia Henderson, I'm Papa Dom, and that's Earl Russian. And of course, at our website at the top, hilldistrict.org/Nafasi, you'll be able to see further information about them. And if you come to the community welcome event that we'll talk about, you'll get an opportunity to meet them. And I do ask everyone to bring someone with you, bring your neighbor, bring your family. It doesn't matter, we're gonna have food, we're gonna have dancing, there's gonna be drumming. And it's an opportunity to welcome these new people into the Hill District. And we're gonna give an opportunity, yes, ma'am?
No.
Yes, we're gonna have a party at Nafasi. So, 1 second, we're gonna have this. And also, I really want everyone to be encouraged to come bearing gifts, whether it's gifts of words of wisdom, if you want to share some books. This is an opportunity to welcome these people into the Hill District in a really meaningful way. So this is just, like I said, some quick information. Cynthia Henderson is actually a return. She's an Nafasi alum. She was co-owner of Black House Collection downtown, which was the first Black-owned by Black women art gallery downtown. So Cynthia, she's really steadfast in what she wants to do. She's also a poet, and what she likes to do is use her words vocally, but also she prints them on graphics. So she turns her words into visual art as well. So Cynthia's pretty dope.
You have, as a work.
So really quickly, while we figure this out, what I'll do is I'll kind of go into like some of the things really quickly, what they do in the so with the residency program, it's emphasized that they're able to use their you see representing, you want to stay with me or you want to sit back in the seat? All right. So what they're going to be able to do is they're going to use their creative practice as a purpose to engage with the community. So whatever their practice is, they're going to have an opportunity to engage with everyone. So like I talked about workshops. Thank you. Okay. So Papa Dom, for example, Papa Dom is from Senegal. Does anyone know Papa Dom? He's an elder. Thank you. So Papa Dom is from Senegal and he travels the world and he teaches, he's a priest and he teaches djembe drumming. He teaches life through drumming, y'all. Papa Dom gave me math lessons in like 15 minutes with the djembe drum. You know what I'm saying? So like when I talk about engagement, there's going to be opportunity where we might have some drum workshops. We might have a drum performance. There's actually going to be drumming at the community welcoming party if y'all come. I'm going to keep saying that because I really want y'all to come and check out the bus. And this is Rel. I'm really excited that Rel is going to be here. Excellent visual artist. She's actually a part of Women of Visions, which is the oldest visual arts collective by women in the country, which is here in Pittsburgh. So as you can see, the caliber of artists that we have in our residency program is never lacking. You know what I'm saying? So these people are really excited. They're really excited to engage with everyone here. They're really excited to share their art. So I'm super excited as well. And Assad going to be there. So this is just a flyer for our community welcoming party that I talked about. If you did not get a flyer, see me, I'm sitting over at that table in the back, and I do have some additional ones if you didn't get one from the front. Yes, ma'am.
No, I don't think bring art practice to.
You can teach me boys.
Well, I'm going to speak about how to get there.
Okay. And I also want to show you, so if you do come into Nafasi, what we have right now, we've been collaborating. So this logo here is from Silver Eye Center for Photography. Someone mentioned Assemble earlier, and Silver Eye is actually on Penn Avenue and they neighbor Assemble. And Hannah Price is a Philadelphia-based photographer. And what she does is she goes into historically Black spaces, historically Black neighborhoods, and documents places of significance. So while she was in Pittsburgh, she was traveling to the National Negro Opera House, August Wilson House, Crawford Grill 2, New Granada, and actually the photos that we have, the portraits that we have on view in Nafasi, these were people that while she was traveling to these spaces in the Hill District, She met these people on the street, built relationships with them, had conversation, really got in touch with what the community meant. And then she asked if for their permission to be a part of her show. So their story and some faces that you might recognize because they're neighbors, they're actually on view right now in the Fosse. So if you come, the address is 2145 on the corner of Center and Elmore. You'll see me every day in the red building. Super exciting. We have the community mural that we're about to do. So did anyone see the mural that we just recently did with Brother Yaya at the Carnegie Museum? It's a little bit down from Soho. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Right on the diagonal. That's right. That's right. That's beautiful. So James Huff, Brother Yaya, who's from the Hill District, he was in our previous cohort and he was commissioned by the 58th International. So we're just going to keep it going. And we have a new mural project. So this is the building. That's in the Fosse. If you didn't know, Doc's new idea. And so what we're going to do is we're thankfully founded by the National Endowment for the Arts, which is a big deal, y'all, honestly. This is a national funder who, you know, we wrote the information. We really want to be able to bring beautiful public art to the community. So shout out to the National Endowment for the Arts. And this is going to be great. So what we're going to do is everyone's going to have an opportunity to participate. What we'll do is the call is open right now. As you can see, April 17th is the deadline. And what folks are going to do is we're going to be able to submit an actual, like all the proposals that are going to be shared in person in front of you. So as the timeline goes down, you'll have an opportunity to see the proposals, you'll have an opportunity to vote, give feedback, and then after that, we're actually going to hold some more community paint days at Fosse. So once the community decides on what we want to see on the side of Fosse as together, everyone's going to have an opportunity to come paint at the building. So stay tuned. Listen, you'll see flyers. You're going to see me on the street passing flyers out. Just say, hey, I remember you at the meeting. Yes, ma'am. You are gonna pay. Work. Pom-poms and blue. I got it. So that's really exciting. So stay tuned. I'm trying to put, we're gonna, you might hear me like or see me on social media. I'm gonna put something at the site so that like if you know, I know I try not to just leave it up to technology because I know some people just prefer not to. So 1 second. So what we'll be able to do is you'll be able to come to the space and give me some feedback and say, hey, I wish this was up. I want to see this here. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity to engage and participate. Yes, ma'am. In a second. Yancey Consulting. So this is really cool too, because this is kind of wrapping in. I talked about the initiatives for the entire Center Avenue corridor. So most times when I'm referencing Center Avenue, I'm referencing what we talk about, which is the study area, the areas of focus, right? Outlined in our Hill District Master Plan, which all of you helped formulate. So we're talking about Center in Dinwiddie, all the way to Center in like, by the gas station, the Sunoco, like the place, and that Reed down there. So Reed, so that's really where I'm focusing at, right? And so what that is we're going to be uplifting. So we're working with the Yancey Consulting, and basically we are going to provide information on what everyone decided. So there had been tons of conversations happening. They came to Pittsburgh in the Hill CDC, invited folks, some of you, some other community stakeholders who, have voice in the community representing everyone, and gave feedback and said, hey, these are the things that we want to see on our corridor. Not only small business, but entertainment. What types of food you want to see, what really to you is going to increase your quality of life and make it fun for everyone to live, continue to be living in the Hill District. And this is just a quick snippet of who Lisa Yancey is. I'm not going to read it for you verbatim, but she is excellent. Like you see here, she got her Juris Doctorate at Boston College, Bachelor of Arts from Emory University, and she's just a visionary. So between Hill CDC staff, Yancey Consulting, and all the participating residents and stakeholders, we're going to be able to deliver in a couple months. We're going to be able to deliver feedback on what it is everyone wanted. And what I'm really trying to drive home is it's not just a plan. It's what it is. It's a plan to execute. So it's going to be a lot of action behind it. There's going to be groups made up of residents. Everyone has an opportunity to participate. Everyone has an opportunity to participate and give their feedback. Continue. Any questions about that? Any questions about anything I've said so far? I believe that's it for me.
Yeah, that just went through.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I just said. There we go. Thank you for your time, folks. Thanks.
Alrighty, we're gonna skip through, a couple of, slides so that we can get to our presenter because it is late. We want to make sure you have an opportunity to vote. We're just gonna do one quick update on the North Side Elks Lodge. And then, for the Lower Hill and New Granada, we will, come back to those, but you do need to know that this is what has happened at the North Side Elks Lodge. Hill CDC did advocate for it to be stabilized. Our understanding is that it could have been stabilized for about $150,000 because there was a compromised wall on the Summer Street side. However, it was demolished, and as a result, you know, we are now going to be faced with another vacant lot, basically. So for those of you who know the Hill CDC's work, you know that we oftentimes cite the statistic that there are 600 acres of vacant land and or buildings in the Hill District. And this is why. This is precisely the reason why. And the building fabric of our community is simply not valued to the extent where we think stabilization is as important to our community as it is to other communities. And so it will take probably at least $6 million to $8 million to rebuild a building of this size. And that is actually a very conservative number. This is like a 12,000 to 15,000 square foot building, and it costs between $250 and $350 per square foot to build new. That doesn't include anything that has to happen underground. That doesn't include your architectural fees, like these folks here who have had to endure lots of fees from lots of parties to build. And so we are very displeased that this was demolished by the city. We are even more displeased that this is an ongoing and continued pattern of activity that we see happen in the Hill District, because we know this would never, ever, ever happen in some other communities within Pittsburgh. But the level of reckless abandon that with which our community is dealt with is something that we, unless we speak up, unless we say no more, if we don't call for a demolition moratorium again, then we are going to be faced with this ongoing challenge of having vacant lots in our neighborhood. So we wanted to make sure you were aware of that, and that you join with us in this effort to preserve the existing structures within the neighborhood to the greatest extent possible. Like if it can't stand, if it's a problem, then that's fine, right? It can't stand. If there is, you know, if it's not the highest and best use for a community and there's another development that's imminent and we decide collectively as a community that we're willing to say, we think that this next plan is better. We'd like for you to celebrate the memory, to use some of the bricks, right? To do some of the things that honor the history, then that is something that the community should have an opportunity to weigh in on. So with that, I'm gonna move forward. Yes, ma'am. One question.
Did anything to preserve it as a landmark?
It's not on the national register of historic places as far as I know, and I don't believe that it's considered a Pittsburgh landmark either. Which could have prevented maybe some of this, but you know, it just wasn't done right in enough time. Reverend Grayson.
Blue side, when a blue sign goes up there, so even today, simultaneously, not only was this doing slow down, but I was in a funeral, I had to do that, the house next door to Trinity Church was being demolished at the same time. And on that block of Francis, there are about 4 or 5 signs, and some of the Francis, some of the houses are pretty well gone, but just don't know who they said the city of demolition and the time frame. In terms of this one in particular, I mean, it might have some issues, but there's some other buildings that like, yeah, why don't they just enforce the one on, basically talking to that for even for only.
Right.
So for me, it was like, why didn't they take that one down first?
Yeah. There is some randomness. Sometimes there's politics, sometimes there's interplay from other parties who are encouraging demolition. Sometimes you have, you know, you don't know all of the things that are moving behind the scene. I can tell you that in this particular situation, because of the scale of the building, right? The scale of the building is what makes it particularly disturbing. Because you're not going to find buildings of that scale in the Hill District, right? A row home, you'll find another row home, but you will not find another 12 to 15,000 square foot building.
But you
Okay.
another building that, as I was leaving the funeral, that building being torn down simultaneously. while I was going.
Right, and this is the issue that the city needs to respond to. It's in answer to your question, it is the permits licensing and inspection department that comes around and does inspections of the properties in our community. Now, understand, these are generally not structural engineers. They're generally not structural engineers. They're generally people who were trained to visually inspect and to give their opinion on whether it should come down. Right? They're not like contractors or anything of that nature. And so we have to suffer the decision-making at that level. And there's no intercession on our behalf, right? From largely any party, right? I heard from the mayor's office about the emergency demo, and that was it. Right? I haven't heard from any elected official. I did reach out to State Rep Arion Avenue because this is the North Side Elks Lodge and he represents the north side as well as parts of the hill now. So we have questions and we have concerns, and we would like to see a moratorium and money instead of the $75,000 that went to this construction company, this demo company, that could have been $75,000 that went towards the stabilization of the property. So.
A quick, statement and a question. We realize that how many properties that, urban redevelopment own in this city, as far as square feet, I think they own about 60% of the properties in the hill strip.
They own, the city and the URA own about 70% of the vacant land.
So does it actually call for a collaboration between the city and urban redevelopment, trying to get these areas for developers and quiet meeting and getting things done, just like they started from the Lower Hill District.
Right, and that's actually a great segue because we are out of time here. The long and short of the Lower Hill is that you all know we were advocating for equity on Block E. The City Planning Commission on January 10th held a meeting. The Lower Hill developers pitched to the commission that they were going to give $2 per ticket sold at the Live Nation venue. They did not concede on the car surcharge, but they committed the $2 ticket surcharge in a letter. We've not gotten a contract. We've not gotten an agreement. They still have commitments to Ammon. They were supposed to invest $1 million in Ammon. They're supposed to support and work with Hill City CO New Granada as a part of this site. And those two things are still very much outstanding and incomplete. The City Planning Commission said that we are not gonna deliberate on that. That's outside of our purview. We disagree with that assessment, but that is what they said. They approved the plan for the planning level for the preliminary land development plan, as well as Block E. Okay, so those past city planning. Next up is the URA and the Sports and Exhibition Authority. Okay, so they approved it. City planning approved it on January 24th. City council vacated Wiley Avenue so that they could do their green space. So between the F&B Tower and Center Avenue, there will be another building on the Center Avenue side, but there's gonna be a lot of green space between the F&B Tower and that site next to Center at the bottom of the site. Our primary concern was that all of that land has been privatized. All of that land is no longer public land. It will be owned by the developer. And my concern and our organization, we are concerned about the public safety of residents crossing over public land. Yes, there's a public right of way. So technically you have the right, but we know that there's going to be security that's private, and there'll also be public city police, right? So some people might say, oh, it's just like if you're walking around a hotel downtown, nobody's going to bother you, but we know differently in our community. And so when you know better, you do better. And so we are not pleased that our request fell on deaf ears, but in order to make sure that our community is protected, we need you to show up. Possibly, Tom, do you know if this is going to be on the April 13th agenda? Okay, so this is another challenge, right? It's March 30th today. We don't have any formal notification from the city or the Urban Redevelopment Authority or anyone, whether or not there will be a vote taken on April 13th. But as you all know, stay ready, right? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So we're going to be sending an email asking you to log on and to express your concerns about the commitments unfulfilled to Ammon, the commitments that remain unfulfilled to New Granada. Okay, until those things are done, we can't allow a 4,000 plus venue that is an entertainment venue and a 908 parking garage to be built in our neighborhood without making sure that we're not taking care in the middle of our neighborhood where we need the greatest investment simultaneously while buildings are being taken down. Right? So there's such things called equity, but you have to push for it in order to secure it. Okay, you can watch all of these meetings. We'll link at hilldistrict.org/live, but in order to register to vote, which is one of our concerns, we don't think the public input is accessible enough to the public. We are concerned that you all can't get online to speak because you can't find the link or you don't know where to go, right? So we're trying to make it easier, but we are putting pressure for our public authorities to make it easier. Please put April 13th in your calendar. We don't know if it's gonna be on the agenda, but I'm thinking it might be. And if it is on the agenda, please show up and make sure the Hill District is protected, okay? A lot of people wanna know about the LRTA. I'm gonna move quickly on this. The LRTA, there is $7 million approximately in, at the URA, that the URA is holding for community funds, okay? The committee who governs that, you can find them here at the website. You can log on online to get this link. Everybody who is on that committee is listed here. Okay, I know it's small. Daniel Lavelle, myself, Richard Witherspoon, R.B. Bankston from the Consensus Group, Reverend Glenn Grayson from Wesley, Alicia George from Shenley Heights Community Development Program, Kim Ellis from the Historic Hill Institute, Jamal Craig from Representative Ariane Abney's office, Dan Bish from the Allegheny County Executive's Office, Lisa Frank from the Mayor's Office, Salah Uddin from Pittsburgh Public Schools, and Lakeisha Wolf from Ujima Collective. The application has been approved, but there's some capacity issues at the URA. And so we're working through how to staff the application process before it's released. So that's where we stand. We just want you all to continue to follow that. I'm gonna push forward again because we're super late here. The New Granada Square project, you all have probably noticed that there's some construction going on, and you probably noticed a new building on Center Avenue. So we're really excited and proud to have delivered 40 apartments on Center Avenue. They are 100% occupied. And the retail, thank you. The retail is coming soon after. We are now on to the historic building and the new office building, which you see in this picture. That is a $58 million development. It is expensive to develop, let me tell you, but it's important, right? And this is why we need investment from, you know, the Lower Hill development, as well as from our city players to invest in this project. We have already released demolition, interior demolition. I was in there today for the first time going on all the floors, and you just wouldn't believe, like, just the view of like just a cleared out 100% blank slate. There will be a formal groundbreaking held this spring, so stay tuned. Relative to the apartments, there will be a formal ribbon cutting in June. Okay, so we will keep you apprised of the dates. Please follow us. But with that, I do want to thank you all for being attentive. I'm gonna ask that you all give the courtesy of our development team, all ears, that you'll be able to look online and vote online too, but I'd appreciate if you all would hang around with us. This is a part of our development review panel process. This developer has worked with us to complete it, and you can find all of our projects at hilldistrict.org/DRP. This particular project did score and 82%. And anyone who is watching from home, you can score until midnight on Thursday, April 6th. And if you'd like to score and rewatch this, you can do that as well. But we want to give them the courtesy of being here. So the standard on 5th, submitted to the DRP on September 22nd. The developer presented to the panel and the committee. This project is 51 apartments on 5th Avenue near Moultrie Street. It is a new building and will consist of mixed workforce housing, affordable housing, and market rate housing. The construction is proposed to begin late 2023. 11 of the units are market, 40 are workforce and affordable, and then they break down them accordingly. Initially, the project received a 79%. They worked within the process because our process is pro-development and pro-accountability. They didn't leave the process. They didn't abandon the process. They came back. They said, well, what is it that we need to do differently? How can we respond to your questions? And when they came back, they did secure an 82% B, which is why they are in front of you today. So with no further ado, we want to give them the floor now. I'm going to hand it over to Mike Polite from Beacon Community and his team. Thank you for your attention.
Which one?
This, and press. You want to stand here to be seen. You have to point it this way. Got it.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, good evening. Yeah, thank you, Miranda, for the introduction. You actually handled probably, 20% of the presentation, but that's okay. We'll move with some pace with the presentation because we want to have an opportunity to handle some questions. So first, by way of introduction of the team that's here tonight, my name is Michael Polite. I'm a senior VP and a principal with Beacon Communities. More on Beacon in a moment. I'm joined tonight by Sabrina Miller, who's our partner from Uptown Partners, one of the RCOs that was mentioned earlier. On the development team, we also have Jeff Campbell of Rothschild Dueno Collaborative. They're leading our design process. And then the development associate on our deal is Maggie Dudley. Maggie's a Beacon employee. So since we already had a general overview of the project, why don't we go directly to Sabrina so she can talk a little bit about Uptown Partners' role in the project.
Okay, so I am Sabrina Miller. I'm the Real Estate and Development Program Manager with Uptown Partners in Pittsburgh. We are a registered community organization as a neighborhood of the Hill District. Our service area, just to follow up on what Miranda was saying, as probably the RCO concept was introduced to you all, some of you for the first time in depth. Our service area is specifically around the geographic boundaries of the Bluff, Soho, Uptown. We do go up a little bit further because the RCO process allows you to draw boundaries around areas that you actually do service on. And so we do have some projects that are a little bit north of the actual Uptown northern border. But we do work in those areas. So that is a spiel about me and my organization. With regard to, so my role is that I vet the developments that come to, that are going to actually be built in the Uptown section of the Hill District. And Beacon was one that came and presented to me in January. Oh, wow, okay.
It's been a while.
It's been over a year. So January of 2022 was the first time that I had interaction with them. They told me a little bit about the project, introducing it first as just Uptown Affordable Housing Project, which was very exciting because we're seeing a slew of market rate development in the neighborhood. So that was an exciting opportunity to learn about what that would look like. I believe Councilman Lavelle reviewed your initial concept, their initial concept. It wasn't our project at that time, but in February of 2022, and they started to move through Uptown's RCO process. The way ours works, we are a member of the DRP, and remember, we do have a recommendation for DRP. But Uptown has its own RCO process, and that is comprised of a RED committee. RED stands for Real Estate Design Development. They're a group of residents and stakeholders. So maybe some people have a business or we're board members, but 90% of our committee is residents of the neighborhood of Uptown. And they provide transparency between the decisions that I make as the real estate and development program manager and what the community actually wants. So they provide that oversight. And then of course, projects then move through the process, leading to the development activities meeting. I'm not saying damn meeting, but so that is what happened. And Beacon was always a partner even before we got to a memorandum of understanding, navigating the process well, understanding that the development activities meeting was the only required part of the RCO ordinance, but still being willing to meet with all the other groups that have overlapping boundaries. And so that was a good note for us in very early on. So this project, as Miranda had noted, 51 units, affordable housing, 79% affordable, deeply affordable project with some implementation of housing choice voucher, which people know Section 8 implementations. I think 20 are.
There'll be, I believe, 17 out of the 51.
Okay.
we'll have that project-based
Yeah.
voucher.
And so that was very exciting for us. And then we learned that we could be actually, have equity in the projects. This is the first time town partners will have managing partnership, equity or ownership in a property. And it is exciting that it's a property like this that speaks to a diverse range of incomes. And so we signed that MOU happily, provided it a letter of support with regards to the funding that they were seeking to make sure that this could be an affordable housing development. And we have been working as partners with them, helping them navigate through the DRP process, answering concerns, going back when necessary. And now we are preparing to do the official development activities meeting. So we're a proud partner. We're excited to be partnering in a project that I think is actually beneficial for the Hill District, especially in a section of Uptown that is pretty barren right now, but we'll start with a considerable amount of development over the next 2 years. So.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thanks, Sabrina. So why don't we jump directly to the slides?
Okay.
The first slide you see is really about describing Beacon Communities. So Beacon Communities is a 50-year-old company. We're active in about 14 states and the District of Columbia. Am I speaking loud? Okay. Yeah, okay, great. And you see the data as far as the number of apartments, the number of folks that work for Beacon. It's a substantial company, so we're mission driven, right? And this evidenced by the way we've been working with Uptown partners. Didn't have to be encouraged. We knew. We found a property, a vacant piece of ground that was being marketed on Fifth Avenue, right? Directly between the Oakland community and where the new hospital, the Mercy Hospital, is coming out of the ground. So from a marketing kind of perspective, it's right there on the new busway. And so we thought, gee, this is a great place, right? It'll great affordable and workforce type housing because people, lots of folk work in Oakland or downtown as well as Uptown. So from that side, it worked great. Who are our partners? Made a call to Councilman Lavell's office and the process began and has moved just the way Sabrina described it. Because that's the way we do business, because that's part of our mission. Next slide, please. You've already, no. Did you go to the next slide? So this is just about, these dots are about where Beacon is already doing business in Pittsburgh. Let's go to the next slide, please. So many of you may already be aware of the redevelopment of the Lecce School, right, on Cliff and Bedford. So we've secured resources from the state. And so we're marching towards getting to a closing in a month or so. So that project is 42 new apartments right in the school, so an adaptive reuse of the school, and then 4 townhouses that are going to front on Cliff. They'll be the nicest townhouses actually in the city, incredible views. And in that one, out of that 46, 38 are income restrained. So we're responding to the needs of the community. Next is 327 North Negley. This is the adaptive reuse of the former B'nai Israel property. So the former school, the school that the Urban League had, we put 2 floors on top of it. It's a 45-unit development. They're an incredibly complex thing. Literally yesterday, we got our occupancy permit. So, right, yes. That property has 13 project-based set aside contract with the housing authority on the order of 1,000 people have already gotten in line. So there's no question, there's a great demand and this project will be a part of that. So let's skip to, I'm going to skip around a bit. So here we go. This sheet gives you just a description of the project, a little more detail. So the apartments, we break it down, 31 ones, 9 2-bedrooms, and 11 threes. Again, it's a predominantly an affordable transaction, so people with all sorts of needs are gonna be able to find a place, find a home here. The next section in there, we give you a sense of, you know, the different levels of rent. Right, the levels of rent, how can you get down to 350? Well, in reality, someone with the rent would be 350, that's where we would have the project-based support coming from the housing authority, right? So on the order of 10% of the apartments are actually gonna be restricted at that level. And then when we talk about workforce is more of folks who are in the, I'll use some statistics now, 50 to 60% of the area median. So for a 1-person household, 50% of the median is about 31,000, 60% of the median is about 41,000. So if you think about who works at the hospital, right? A lot of my family works at hospital. This is responding to those types of folks, which makes sense given where we're located. All right. And as you go down to the lower parts, we're talking about these incomes, you see a number that's as high as 57,000. This is really pointing to a sort of the upper end of someone, of a family of on the order of 4 for those 3-bedroom apartments. So you could make up to that amount and still qualify. Is really what it's getting at. Will serve a range of people here. Oh, in the lower part, she documented some sort of fun facts. So I'll read them off really quickly. Pittsburgh Public Schools aides make between 26,000 up to 53,000. A line cook might make between 31,000 and 52,000. So you see where that group that we're serving. Let's go to the next page. So project commitments. This is getting at green initiatives. So whenever you use the type of monies that are being used to create these sorts of things, the public takes the opportunity to make sure that we're implementing these important goals like reducing our impact on the lived environment. That's what you're really getting at when you talk about green initiatives. You use less electricity, you put less, you're basically putting less sort of negative things back into the community. The building envelope, you know, we built properties that really perform at a high level. That's what we're talking about here. Next, the minority and women business enterprises. This is one of the things where we worked with both with our contractor as well as with comments that came back through the first part of the DRP process. So we're documenting here where we've landed in terms of participation. And then next is minority employees, the people who are actually going to be working at the property once we get started. We can say these sorts of things because we review the contractors that we bring onto our teams. So we hire people who have a history of performing. And so this is what we're documented. This is what we promised to accomplish. Next is the other amenities. This is just the things that we're providing in so the place, in addition to be, you know, high efficiency, beautiful, well located, what are the amenities, the things that people are looking for in the way they live today. So things like Wi-Fi provided to the residents at no cost. The whole business about being smoke-free. This is just a common thing that's in place pretty much everywhere now, and people like that, right? Everyone wants fresh air, including what's going on inside their apartments. Next slide, please. Finally, for me anyway, the schedule. As you can see, we've already started the zoning process. We can actually, the way the property is designed and what's zoned, it's a perfect fit. There's no requirement to ask for any variances because we're following the rules, right? The expectations. And the land allows us to follow the expectations. You know, sometimes you need a variance. It's not because you don't want to follow the rules, but here that's not our case. We've documented how the city reviews it through the thing that's gonna happen in April and May. The site plan review, contextual design advisory panel. The city has a say ultimately in what we're doing, even though we are following, their standards. They need to see and confirm that we're following the standards. So there you go. We plan to close the project. Well, there's a lot of work to be done over the summer while we're actually finishing the design work, getting all the costing stuff done. Then we have to simultaneously moving forward on building the financing. We've secured significant money already. And so now we have to sort of essentially weave all that together. So that by the end of the year, we're ready to get to a closing. And then it'll take a year or so to complete the construction. I think that'll be it for me. If Jeff, you want to come forward? When you gonna come back?
Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna step out, but I want to see if anybody had any questions specifically for me. I did give Miranda a couple of my business cards, connect, learn more about our organization as a partner in the Hill District. I do have some additional cards I can just leave them here, and Miranda does have some, but does anybody have any questions for me specifically for that? Yeah.
This site, I want to be clear, is on Fifth and Moultrie. Is that what you said?
It's in the center of Fifth and, Moultrie. So if you remember where Larry's Bar was on the corner, it's that open space, that's.
Right,
the-
that's where
yeah.
Myers Plum.
You can
Okay.
see right
Yeah,
here.
that's right. That.
So there's Fifth Avenue's right here, Moultrie's here, so the river's down this way, the rest of the hill's up here.
No, that's what I'm trying to find out.
It's close to the Birmingham Bridge. Close to the Birmingham Bridge.
Is it next to Larry Plumbing or is it across? Larry's?
So it's gonna go.
Okay, all right, it's right there. Okay, I get it. Okay. See, Myers Plumbing across the street.
Right, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll go over all this in just a
Yes, I
second
just
here.
wanted to know if there's any questions specifically for me, in regards to our relationship with, Beacon Communities or about the organization. If anything comes up, if you have any questions about stuff happening on Fifth and Fourth, my cards are available. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks, Miranda.
So my name's Jeff Campbell. I'm a principal with Rothschild Luna Collaborative. We've been around for about 34 years now. We did the legacy apartments a couple blocks this way. We worked on Dinwiddie townhomes and apartments a few blocks that way. And actually for the last 12 years, I like to say we've been the best smelling office in the city because we're right next to Salem's. So they're next door neighbor. I'm going to go through this really quick, but please, feel free to stop me. Just out of respect for your time, I'm going to go through it quick. And we can come back, with any questions. As an architect, there's lots of graphics, lots of little images, but I'm going to go do it as quick as I can. So first you asked about the location. Yeah, just so everybody knows, this is the Birmingham Bridge down here, the Boulevard of the Allies is right there. We're located on Fifth Avenue. So there's two blue lines that you see coming up and down. The bus rapid transit, I think that, as Michael mentioned, that was a real attraction, the site. And then more specifically, we're along Fifth, we back up to Watson, which is more like an alley behind us. We actually we're not actually on Moultrie, so we're bordered by buildings on both sides. So there's residences here and residences there, so we're fully inboard in that side. There's also a lot of slope to the site, so the Hill District, but so we've actually got, as you go across the street, it drops 8 feet in either direction, and then we've actually got 18 feet from the front point up here to the back point there, which is a challenge when you're trying to lay out some of these buildings. As Miranda had mentioned, we have appeared before the DRP a couple times. We've also appeared in front of Sabrina's group. We've shared also with the Hill District Collaborative. We've been doing sort of a roadshow trying to get comments before we go into the planning process. So we did all these meetings. We just submitted for zoning last month, or actually this month. And then there will be a development activities meeting later. So we'll have another opportunity for public comment at that point. This is the original
project that we had, and we, got some comments that I think in general, everyone appreciated it and liked it. There was some comments about the scale of it, about the, maybe relating more to the context of the neighborhood as well. One of the things we also had was we had a front yard setback of about 10 feet, which provided some green space, and there was, some requests. I think people liked that and wanted to encourage that a little bit further. So we went back to the drawing board. We've been doing a lot of work over the last 3 months. And the other thing we looked at a lot was just the context of the neighborhood. I probably don't have to tell you guys what the homes around here look like, but there are some beautiful houses immediately up the street from us. So right alongside us, there's some 3-story buildings that we kind of have pictured here. And on the next slide, some 4-story, some nice 4-story apartments. We've looked a lot at this from the materials and bricks, and the idea that the first floor is different than other floors, and the rhythms and the windows and all that kind of thing. So the next slide. And so this is where we're at now. This is not a super polished rendering. This is actually the model that we're using to build documentation and get pricing and things like that. So this is still a design and process. This is pretty close to what we want it to look like, though. And I think we're incorporating a lot of the feedback that we've gotten. One of the most notable things is we made it a story shorter. So right now we're a 4-story building along 5th Avenue. We actually took, along the right here, we actually took the top floor back another one, just to kind of relate more to that 3-story, the 3-story buildings that we have next to us. That's meant to be a brick facade. We also have a community room that we moved up onto 5th Avenue. So we wanted to make sure that we had people along 5th Avenue and people, the residents inside the building were up there, as well as some offices as well. We're trying to pick up on the colors, the patterns, and the materials that you see in the rest of the neighborhood. I think you also see some of that massing in general is, trying to break down the scale of that building. Next slide, please. And then this is a view from the rear. This is trying to, again, use those same materials, the same massing, everything along those lines. One of the things we are very aware of is that it is visible. So it will be something that, we want to make sure it looks good as we approach from the Boulevard of the Allies, things like that. Next slide, please. And then won't get into these too much. We just included a few floor plans and site plans in case people are curious. We actually aren't required to have any parking on site. The zoning, because it is in such a high transportation corridor, says that you're not required to have any parking. We are providing 4 spaces. We have those in the back here. We have internal trash, so we want to make sure that the dumpsters aren't back out on Watson. And then we actually increased the space along 5th Avenue on the top of the page here, so that we actually have about a 20-foot deep yard space that we feel can be right along 5th and provide a little more occupancy. And it's a very dead part right now. There's just not a lot of pedestrians there. So we feel like this will give a little more life to that particular part of the site. And then bicycle room on the inside as well. So we do recognize people have other ways of getting transportation. So we're making sure we're providing that. We have a full unit breakdown. We can get into that if we'd like. It's 11 3-bedrooms. We've got a number of 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms as well. And that's really it. I think at that point, unless there's anything else you wanted to add, Mike, we can just go over questions.
So you got 51 apartments, you said you got 51 apartments for 4 parking spaces. So everybody that's walk, catching the bus.
And part of that is this, being right along the that BRT, that's something that we're leaning on as well.
That's part of the zoning. So we're gonna take 10 minutes worth of questions, tops. So Ms. Felicia.
Thank you. Michael and
Please repeat the question.
it's wonderful. Oh, I apologize. I just want to say, Michael, it's wonderful planning, great design. Does anyone really understand the impact of what will happen when Mercy Hospital opens in terms of activity in the quarter? Because right now, you're right, there's nothing going. But when that hospital opens, that's a huge hospital. Do you think that this will be able to, provide for the residents if in fact there are only 4 parking spaces?
So,
Question.
yeah, so I'll repeat the question, thank you. The question was, the bottom line, do you think that the 4 parking spaces will be enough? Right. So. The reality is that we take and use kind of the land that we're given, right? We're creating a great product. And folks who must have a place to park will have a little, and then others will, who essentially don't need a parking space, will choose to live here because their lifestyle is, I want to use public transportation. And I can tell you from a lot of, I know this for a fact, 'cause I experienced it on the market rate side. Lots of young people spend their money on other things and not on a car because they want to use public transportation. We just happen to be located at a spot where you can use public transportation and get to a lot of things. So it's, if you absolutely, you're tied to your car, only a few people are gonna be able to use it. But if you are a nurse's aide and you make $30,000 a year, you're making your own trade-off decisions.
It seems like the development is set up for like young people and students without a family, but you gotta go shopping.
So the question was, who are we set up for? Not just for young people. We have no age limits.
But what do you want to do when you go shopping then?
So people figure this out. This is an urban site and people figure it out.
I think it's worth going through the affordability again, and that's,
Sure.
I mean, students could live there, but students.
Whoa.
I know, I would say students cannot live in a lot of the federally funded
And
affordable
none,
housing.
and none of the tax credit, which is essentially 80% of the 51. So call it, that's 40. Let's say it's 40. So 40 of them, no students will be living there, cannot live there, and if they, there's a very big penalty. All the money that's in there, you essentially put at risk. So I can guarantee you, Beacon manages all of its own properties. No one is putting the owners at risk of having the federal government show up and say, give us the money back. That's not gonna happen. All I can say is that there are lots of apartments, developments where parking is not the most important sort of decision factor. Location is. The amenities that you have in the apartment, those are the most important factors. You can get on the bus and cross the bridge to go to the shopping. Right. That's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. Yes, absolutely.
All right.
We'll go here then.
Yeah.
Sir,
Are you aware across from you is a food bank that's been existing for almost 20 years with the homeless they feed every day? Did y'all ever think about sharing some of y'all equity to provide a better facility for that building directly across from you with the homeless instead of having the development, 3 or 4 buildings down for that and have that type of environment close you and not sharing with the involvement of that agent?
so the question was, did we basically think about other needs? This is the only way I can describe it. The food bank, yeah, so the monies that, the Jubilee Kitchen? Yes, I'm very much familiar with Jubilee. The money that we raised is specifically restricted to creating housing.
But let me say that the Jubilee Kitchen, hold on, the Jubilee Kitchen did go through the development review panel, and at our last meeting, you all voted and approved their new proposed development site. So they are under rehab and they have raised money to upgrade their facility. So that should be coming to the community very soon.
Here, yes, sir.
I grew up in that neighborhood. My concern would be the traffic pattern. I don't know if you could put a light there, because that's a very busy intersection coming off the bridge down Fifth Avenue. Buses intersect going in both directions. And if you have to, if you live in that building, you have to cross the street to catch a bus in town, you got a problem.
Yeah.
That would be my concern.
Right. So I think this is the sort of thing. Go on,
Yeah,
Jeff.
so if I could jump in, so the question was about the traffic that's going on there.
Right.
And I would actually say the bus rapid transit redesign that's going on there is very pedestrian friendly. So it actually cuts the traffic down. So there's one bus lane, there's one vehicle lane, then there's a parking lane, then trees, and then a bicycle lane. So it actually takes the entire width of that road and cuts it to maybe half. So as you're trying to get across, that's it should be much safer in that regard.
All hearts and minds clear? I cannot,
Oh, there's one more in the back.
one more question.
So is this particular building an adult, only building?
So the question is the building an adults only building? So we don't think about it in that way. So typically, not typically, in this financing program, you get to pick like one of, let's say, there are basically 3 types of development. There's seniors, so age restricted, 62 plus. Sometimes you have properties that serve folks who have, we call it permanent supportive housing, so people have a need for extra support to live independently. And then you have, well, the term is general occupancy, but it's meant to be something other than seniors, so you have 1s, 2s, and 3s. So the plan is to respond to folks who are working in these important employment centers. And so we think that you'll have families of different sizes that are appropriate for 1, 2, or 3. The majority of the apartments are 1s and 2s. But you do have, there are 11 3s.
It's not kid friendly because of this, there's nothing there for getting hands and fire. So that's why I asked.
So predominantly smaller families, right? 40 of the apartments are for smaller families. Smaller 1s and 2s?
2 bedrooms, 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Okay, thank you.
And how many 3 bedrooms?
11 3s. Thank you.
Thank you all for staying.
Thank you.
Thank you all for presenting, very much. Please make sure you vote. We cannot complete our process unless we secure your ballot. The ballot box is being ushered around the room. Ballot cards were given to residents to vote on this project. Thank you. If you are at home watching, you can vote at hilldistrict.org/score. Is that right, Shabisha? hilldistrict.org/score. And please do take it as an opportunity to vote and give input. I want to thank you all for staying. You have been troopers tonight. Thank you for clearing the table because there was nothing we could do with all of that food by ourselves. And we will see you all at the next Hill District Community meeting. And we'll see you around. Thank you. Yeah. Did you get your? Ash to make sure you're out. Also, be sure to leave your RCO survey. If you leave it on the table, it will come and collect it. In fact, if you completed the RCA, if anybody needs help with the RCO survey, please let me know. You can come, I'll hang back for another 10 minutes to help anybody who has questions. But, if you don't need help and you finish it, we are happy to collect them and turn them into city planning for you. Okay?
If I can't do it today, when can I have this submitted?
If you cannot do it today, you have to have your RCO survey submitted by April 2nd. And you could, if you have problems, you can do it online, right, at the address on the survey, or you can bring it to our office and we'll scan it in for you and make sure the city planning gets it. Okay, our office is at 2015 Center Avenue. And last but not least, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay in the know, and we're also on LinkedIn. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Teresa had it.